Okay, hello people and welcome back. I'm Sai. Let's continue where we left off. The will and the law. The ward of the Magran Inquisition has little space for dungeons in which to detain and question suspects, just a handful of underground cells with tiny windows and heavy doors. You and Jean are standing in one of them, facing a man accused of heresy. 2 days of questioning have yielded nothing. This man was distributing books, containing a distorted version of the teachings of Isatius. The teachings themselves were intact, but the books also included comments that openly criticized the foundations of the old faith. To set up a clandestine print shop for such blasphemous books, one needs powerful connections and money. This could be your chance to track down a heretical sect of considerable power. The man is on a rack. A rope is wrapped tightly around his wrists, turning them a deep shade of blue. Jean has treated the prisoner with patience and mercy. She has forbidden the use of torture in an effort to prove to the man that his silence is pointless. You hear footsteps coming down the stairs. Inquisitor Ulrich enters the room. He has refrained from interfering in your investigation for 2 days, but it seems his patience is at an end. You and Jean welcome your mentor with a curt nod. He walks past you and examines the man up on the rack. Slowly, he shakes his head. I see you are in need of my aid and guidance. Remove him from the rack and put him in a chair. You humbly do as he says, while Ulrich takes great care in selecting the proper tool for what is to come. When the man is finally seated, the Inquisitor steps closer. Sorry, I forgot what his voice sounded like before. Oh, Jesus. Sharp steel flashes, and the severed tip of the man's pinky falls to the floor. The man lets loose a blood-curdling scream. Funny, I was just thinking about Yakuza. Like the game, and, well, the real one, how they cut off pinkies the other day. Father Ulrich severs the finger down to the knuckle. Well, where is the print shop? The man shrieks and curses at him. Father Ulrich walks around the chair. The prisoner's eyes bulge in terror. The Inquisitor removes the man's ear with a precise cut. The prisoner howls in pain, shivering, convulsing. Blood streams down his neck, forming a dark brown stain on his plain shirt. Jeanne is stone-faced as she watches it happen. Ulrich is utterly dispassionate, every bit as calm and calculating as before. This man of corporal punishment is an everyday occurrence for him. Jeanne is stone-faced. The Inquisitor continues the torture, repeating the same question over and over again in the same tranquil voice. The prisoner will not stop convulsing, but he says nothing. 10 finger joints now lie scattered around the floor of the room. Streams of blood trickle down the stone slabs. Ulrich reaches for a hammer. Finger bones are brittle. There is a crack, then a scream, then sobbing. The knees are next. The prisoner will not stop screaming. Between the howling and the tears, his lips are unsealed at last. He begs for you to stop. He will tell you everything. The print shop is in Sulmina, a small mining town in eastern Magra. The prisoner tells you exactly where it is hidden. Jean writes it down. Father Ulrich walks over to a wash basin. He pours some water on his blood-stained hands, then carefully wipes them dry. He glares at you and Jean. Never pity a heretic. They deserve neither compassion nor your mercy. Sister Jean, finish him off. A lesser death is a fitting punishment for his crimes. Father Ulrich, forgive me for my impudence, but this man's fate must be determined by a tribunal. Sister, I have personally sentenced him to lesser death for his sins. The tribunal is a mere formality, a senseless waste of time, just like your attempts to convince him to speak. Forgive me, but I refuse. You and I belong to the same lot. You are not a noble. You cannot give me orders. You are far too arrogant for a girl barely out of the seminary. Father Ulrich's voice rings like hardened steel. Jean meets his gaze defiantly. The prisoner is sobbing quietly, still shackled to the chair. I will support Jean. You insist that the prisoner must face the tribunal. After considering the quandary, you say that there is already a proper punishment for every wrongdoing. To carry out a sentence here and now would be murder, and such violence would be in defiance of your priestly lot. Father Ulrich stands erect. His gaze moves from Jean to you. I mean, here's the argument though. The prisoner is basically like cut up, chopped off hands, no fingers. I don't know if they hurt his knees, no ear. Like, wouldn't it be just easier for him? I know it's dark for me to say, but if he suffers a lesser death, he would reborn in his normal form, right? Anyway, tell me, is your indecisiveness motivated by fear or pity? I advise you to consider which of these is more ruinous for an inquisitor. Remember this. The rules and the laws of the order were all written by men. We, however, fight those who seek to undermine the very law of the gods. But have it your way. A tribunal will decide this man's fate. With that, Ulrich turns and leaves the dungeon. You summon the acolytes to take the prisoner back to his cell. When you are done, Jean looks at you with resolve. The younger is the law, the order, and the form. To serve the twins is to obey and protect the law. I'm glad to see you understand that. 2 days later, the prisoner is burned at the stake. Father Ulrich insisted that the heretic be sentenced to true death. Oh, now he changed the lesser to true. Jean attempted to appeal the sentence, but the Inquisition tribunal stood with Ulrich. Uh-oh. You watch the execution take place in the yard of the Inquisition ward. The prisoner's howling under torture seems quiet compared to his screams of agony as he is consumed by the flames. You cannot look away from his burning body. His death comes slowly. Killing him yourself 2 days ago would have been a mercy. Damn it! And our willpower is decreasing. Still at high. Oh man, I should have seen that coming. I definitely need to be more clairvoyant, I guess, about our choices in the future. Because sometimes they might not be what they seem to be. Year 1140, Egmon's speech. Just a few days into the year, Mayor Egmon, chairman of the Lesser Quorum and owner of several silver mines, made a speech that caused quite a stir in the province. Though a commoner, Egmont had the gall to demand that the Magran authorities both enforce and obey imperial law. What's the use of the imperial laws if they aren't enforced as they should be? Even today, any Anisot nobleman who gets up on the wrong side of the bed can draw his sword and run a commoner through with impunity. These gentlemen may be our rulers, but does that mean they can defy the Emperor's will? Sir Elborn has been appointed to enforce the rule of law in Magra. How come the prefect doesn't see this? The commoners aren't trying to seize the noble lot and take over the province, but the rule of tradition is a thing of the past. This is the age of justice. We may not all be equal in its eyes, but even the nobles and clergy must obey the law. The Magran aristocracy is furious with Egmont and demands that he be silenced, but the rich industrialist has too much money and too many connections to be dealt with so easily. You hear more and more rumors about secret societies of commoners appearing in the city, plotting against noble rule. The gentry fears that Egmon and his peers might be behind this, but they have no proof, at least for now. Father Leonard, abbot of the Temple of the Silver Tree and the leader of the New Believers, supports Egmont and has spoken publicly in his favor. The twins themselves entrusted the noble estate with the right to rule over the common folk, but rulers must also care for their subjects. The old faith is mistaken. No commoner should ever be forced to suffer. It is for this very reason that the imperial law exists. It is there to ease the people's suffering. May those laws be duly enforced, and may they serve all the people of the Empire. Okay. The first days of spring. It is early morning. The carriage bounces over a pothole on the road, jolting you awake. The village of Solmina is already on the horizon. You are close now. You travel alone, escorted only by David Ogaronim and his champions of faith. Father Ulrich was so intent on denying Jean the chance to investigate the print shop that he called for an Inquisition tribunal meeting for this very purpose. Your mentor thought you better prepared for the journey to Solmina, and the other inquisitors stood by him. Oh. Okay, our choices might backfire. Furious as she was, Jeanne had no chance but to accept the tribunal's decision. She saw you off before your departure, not one for affectionate farewells. She gave you a stern admonition instead. Remember, only the clergy may preach and interpret the words of Isatius. Such is our lot and the burden of the priestly estate. We are the ones who are educated and trained to guide laymen to the righteous path. A commoner or noble who expostulates on the twins is thus guilty of defying their lot and shall suffer at the foot of the shining pillar for all eternity. The books from this accursed print shop pose a grave danger to every member of the noble and common estates. I'm counting on you, Brante. Make those apostates pay for what they've done. The carriage shakes as it rolls down the bumpy Magran high road. You pass the time before your arrival by flipping through the pages of the book that started this investigation. It is a paper-bound tome, and so unusually light. You look through the familiar lines, the teachings of Isatius. In this section, the prophet outlines his thoughts on understanding the lots. And so the twins did descend upon the land. Clad in flesh, they walked their path among the living and brought their word. Blessed was the Archnian race to carry their rule throughout the land, transforming the land to suit their own design, for this design was pleasing to the twins. And so the twins did anoint the bloodline of Tempest to rule over a worldly kingdom. Such was their will and love and law. And so the Archnian Empire came to be, and so the law of this land became intertwined with the law of the heavens. You know, I mentioned this in like 2 episodes ago. This story is really close to the Sumerian or Sumerian myth, creation myth, which was later clearly heavily influencing others like the Egyptian and the Greek one, and by extension Christianity. And thus spake the elder, who lives a righteous life shall know eternal bliss upon the peak of the shining pillar. And thus spake the younger, he who defies the law in life shall find eternal torment at the foot of the shining pillar. What is a righteous life? The elder would not say. What is defying the law? The younger would not say. But there was no malice in this, nor was there any secret. The twins named the blessed Archnian Empire their worldly kingdom, and thus for all eternity the shape and form of the empire shall be pleasing to them, and the laws of the Empire shall be the law as given to us by the twins. Thus do we all serve the Empire, and thus do we fulfill their will. The nobleman serves with the sword and rules over other estates, for such is his noble lot. The commoner labors for the good of the Empire. Your eyes shift to the notes appended to these lines. Their author is unknown. Prophet Isaetes, being the first disciple of the elder, addressed the twins by their side. "What is your will?" he asked. "How does one live a righteous life in keeping with your law?" He was granted a revelation and given a reply. There can be no doubt that this is the truth, just as there can be no doubt in the doctrines that have guided the people of the blessed Archnean Empire to the peak for more than thousands of years. But this answer was given to the prophet in a time when the world was unlike the world of the present. The Archnean Empire was surrounded by enemies on all sides, and many lesser races and civilizations lived among us. Powerful sorcerers fought to resist the will of the true gods, and priests of false gods were corrupting the people's souls with their profane rites. This was an age when the Archnean Empire had no nobles of the mental, nor any nobles of the human race, nor did it have any commoners to toil and labor and be ruled over for the good of the Empire. The Empire has changed drastically since the time when Prophet Isaetes was given his answer. The Empire, its form, and its laws have all changed, and so our path of service to the Empire and the twins must change as well. We must cast away the old answers. We must forget Isaetes and the lots. The carriage comes to a halt. It is time to put the book away. You have reached the village. The lockers are ready for your arrival. There are no women or children outside, only men. They casually lean on pitchforks and scythes, as though they just happen to have them on hand. The miners remain close to their pickaxes and sledgehammers. Uh-oh. They eye you with suspicion, waiting for you to act. And so you speak to them loudly. "There is a print shop in this village. Where is it?" The villagers do not answer. They only clutch harder at their mattocks and staves. Some of them reach for rocks. The peasants surround you on all sides. The champions of fate, in turn, reach for their swords. Captain Agronim is ready to give the order to attack at the slightest provocation. But then you spot a figure upon the hill, a man with a staff dressed in white. It is Father Leonard, abbot of the temple by the silver tree. He waves to you and walks down the hill. The crowd parts before him. "Brothers and sisters, have no fear. I am sure our guests from the Order of the Inquisition have come here with no ill intent. Please, good Inquisitors, leave these people be. They were just trying to protect me. They don't realize that the twins' protection is the only shield I need. Come with me, my friends. I will show you what you seek." He guides you to a large house up on the hill. Inside are several printing presses. Young people dressed in white are tending to them, printing new pages, sorting them, and binding them into books. The print shop workers freeze in fear when they notice your black cassock and the silver seal on your side. "Do you see this, dear brother? These are all books that teach the new faith. There is neither heresy nor apostasy here. This is education, and the Patriarch of Magra has approved of." Leonard produces a scroll and shows it to you. "I, Cassius, Patriarch of Magra, hereby grant Father Leonard, abbot of the Temple of the Silver Tree, permission to study and annotate the writings of the great prophet Isaetes, for it is within that the lot of the priest to study the twins and interpret their will. Please understand this, brother. It is true that any layman may seek guidance from a priest, but no priest can guide every decision a person makes, for we are all endowed with free will. If the people learn more about the twins, it will be much easier for them to follow their will on their own and chart their own path to the peak of the Shining Pillar." "Enough of this heresy. Only priests have the right to interpret the fate, so said Isaetes. This is your priestly lot, your duty and your burden to bear. But you, new believers, now seek to compel laymen to shoulder this burden. They have been explicitly forbidden to bear it. You're just leading people straight to torment at the foot of the pillar. And you're saying this is how it's all supposed to be. Please, do not be so quick to blame me and our doctrine. What you have just said is also an interpretation of the lots, Captain, even though you claim it is not your burden to bear. But I don't judge you at all. For anyone who seeks their love, it is only natural to seek an understanding of their law. The teachings of Fotis are not forbidden. The new faith is not a heresy, but a path to salvation. We will continue to preach our doctrine and look for other paths to the peak that have been rejected by the old faith. It saddens me to see that our teachings are still met with such fierce resistance from the clergy, even here in Magra, the birthplace of the new faith, even when the patriarchs of Archnia and Astinia have acknowledged the truth of the new faith and preach its doctrines themselves. Captain Agronym's brow furrows. He looks at you. It is your lot to judge matters of the faith. You are the one who must decide. Thankfully, we cannot redact and censor the books. The books will be published, but only when you are done editing them personally. Hell no. That's something that... Okay, I will just... I won't say it. Destroy the print run? No. Leave the books alone. You use the Patriarch's permission as an excuse to let the books be published. After a moment of silence, you tell Captain Agronym that Father Leonard is right. According to the priestly lot, any clergyman is free to offer interpretations of the sacred texts and provide guidance to his flock. This work has been sanctioned by Patriarch Cassius. The Inquisition will not stop these books from being printed and distributed. The more the commoners and nobles learn about the twins, the easier it will be for them to follow their path to the peak. The captain frowns in displeasure, but accepts your judgment. With a smile, Father Leonard thanks you from the bottom of his heart. You have prevented bloodshed today. Upon your return, you tell Jean that the print shop belongs to Father Leonard. As a priest, it is his right and duty before man and the gods to interpret the sacred texts and the will of the twins. The print shop in Sulmina will remain open. Jean raises her eyebrows, exasperated. Aiding heretics will only serve to guide you into heresy, Brante. Don't you understand? These people are delusional and they're spreading their delusions throughout the world. They are guiding their flock straight to the foot of the pillar. The sooner the new faith is seen as the heresy it is, the sooner we can begin to fight them, and the more people we will save. I thought you understood that. It's terrible to imagine all those people doomed to torment at the foot of the pillar, and now their suffering is on your head as well. Inquisitor Ulrich greets you with a stone face when he learns of your decision. Oh, there we go. Those who show pity for heretics may one day become heretics themselves. You had best not show any indulgence to new believers in the future, Brother Brante. Trust me, it won't end well. Haters gonna hate. Okay, schism. That's good for now. Downfall of the Inquisition. We're getting pretty close to that. It's at 2. Power of the new faith. There we go. I'm just thinking about the religious riots. I don't know if we want to reach that. Or be one below that, like max at 9. We shall see. The captive. This event is a consequence of your previous actions. It is the Inquisition's duty to act as a sword of vengeance in the hands of the Church to inspire awe and trepidation in the hearts of sinners, but right now the Order is too weak to protect itself even against the attacks of insolent minor nobles. 3 days ago, you received a denunciation from the village of La Grasse claiming that the new wife of Baron L. Laberius is a magic-wielding witch. Jean wanted to see the Baron and bring the woman in for questioning 2 days ago, but has not returned. Today, the Inquisition received a letter from the Baron. Inquisitor Brante. I have the deepest respect for the Inquisition, but I cannot agree with the accusations against my wife. Catalina is not a witch. She is innocent. I give you my word as a nobleman. I have plenty of enemies. In their eagerness to sully our good name, they often start ridiculous rumors that could cloud the minds of the peasants. Sister Jean refused to hear my arguments. I hope you will be more reasonable. Sister Jean is staying at my castle as an honored guest. Withdraw all accusations against my wife, and Jean will return to Anizote. Ah, honored guest, ergo captive, prisoner. Okay. I have no intention of harming her. A promise which, incidentally, she refused to give me regarding my wife's treatment by the Inquisition. Annoyed, you drop the letter on the desk. Your authority in Magra is already in a sorry state. Acquiescing... Okay. I don't know what this means. To L. Laberius' demands would mean publicly admitting how weak the order has become. But is there any other resolution to this situation? What is this? Seek aid from your parishioners. The righteous indignation of your flock will become a weapon in your hands. Withdraw the accusations. Catalina L. Laberius will be exonerated and Jean will be released. Or the alleged witch must be interrogated and we would abduct Catalina L. Laberius. Think about this very carefully. Ulrich is threatening us. Jeanne is not our best friend, but what if we could convince her to convert to the new faith? But do I have any problem with witches? Not really, except the very first one, the kid in the classroom that just randomly burned the teacher and enjoyed it like Draco Malfoy abusing someone in Harry Potter. On the other hand, the other witches seemed okay, and magic users. I guess except Charmilanidas. You know what? We should abduct her, just to be sure. The Inquisition must regain its authority no matter the cost. Otherwise, your further service in Magra will become impossible. Yeah, and that's also the other point. Like, what if we fully fall and then we won't have any other way to influence religion? You have to pay a hefty sum from your family funds, but a man by the name of Oliver Moss assures you that he will deliver Catalina L. Laberius to the Inquisition ward. The next day, you find the Baron's wife in a cell awaiting interrogation. A lengthy conversation confirms your hypothesis. Catalina is an ordinary woman. The accusations of witchcraft are merely a figment of the wide imaginations of ignorant peasants who have never seen a woman from the Empire's northern provinces before. You send an ultimatum to L. Laberius later that day. He will set Jean free and publicly admit his trespass against the Inquisition, or his wife will be convicted of witchcraft. What? And burned at the stake? No! The Baron instantly agrees to all your demands and releases Jean. You personally preside over the hearing in which L. Laberius repents his crimes against the Church. The Baron is sentenced to have his hand cut off for daring to attack an Inquisitor. Your father, who, by virtue of his position as judge, is informed of all penalties against nobles, does not hide his displeasure with your decision. Did L. Laberius deserve such a severe punishment, son? He was merely trying to protect his wife and the honor of the family. Yes, you managed to instill fear in many a noble heart, but along with fear comes hatred, which in turn will affect the entire Brante family. And now we regained too much strength. What was I thinking? You guys watching this video is probably like, yeah, agreeing with my future self. Tarnished honor, less wealth. We just lost. Hopefully we could recover, but why did I choose that? Brothers in misery. Your home has been much more peaceful for the last year. The fights between Stefan and Gloria are not as fierce now, but how long will this last? Your job takes up all your time. You see your parents and siblings less and less often. Sometimes you don't even know what they are doing while you deal with the constant stream of duties. This morning you head out on urgent business. You take one step out of the gate and run into a uniformed gendarme. Pronto Brante, Captain Linat. Your presence is requested at the prefecture dungeon. Captain of the prefecture gendarmes, a man with a shady past and shadier acquaintances, he is nevertheless well respected by his subordinates. Taken aback, you ask what this is about. We have your brothers Stefan and Nathan Brante in a cell. They were arrested last night at the Steiner's Inn. They asked us to send for you. The cells in the prefecture dungeon are cold and damp. The guards lead you to the bars, and behind them you see Nathan huddled in the corner. Your younger brother is unshaven, more disheveled than usual, and reeking of wine and filth. Near the cell you see Stefan grimly sitting in a chair. You guess that the gendarmes thought it best not to put him in the same cell as his lowborn brother. Upon seeing you, Nathan lets out a whimper, and Stefan cracks a bitter smile. The sheath on your brother's belt is empty. There you are at last, Bronto. Have a look at our younger brother. Yesterday he got drunk in the company of some dubious fellows. They are commoners, yet they dare to surrender to pleasure. They started a brawl, wrecked the inn, and harassed the waitresses. As soon as I heard, I rushed to save this drunkard from shame. Nathan covers in the corner, horror-struck. I walked in and demanded that Nathan come with me, but his cronies wouldn't let him go. It's not true. You just grabbed me by the collar and dragged me after you. You nearly suffocated me. Shut your mouth, cur. So, brother, they seem to have some sort of sect. They all shouted defamations against the twin gods, and one of them grabbed me by the arm. I was forced to skewer this heretic with my sword. I hope a lesser death will teach him never to lay his filthy paws on a nobleman. He was just trying to talk to you, Stefan. Silence. Then the gendarmes barged in, and here we are. I have been accused of an unlawful murder. Apparently, the new laws allow killing a commoner only if he attacks first or wields a weapon. They say that in the event of an insult, I'm supposed to file a complaint with the prefecture. So now they are going to seize my sword for a whole year. What a shame. And it's all your fault, Nathan. Stefan gives the bars a furious kick. Nathan covers his face with his hands in despair. Bronto, brother, you are our only hope. Get me my sword back and get us out of here. And fast. We have to bury this sordid affair as deep as we can before anyone finds out. Save our family from shame. Alright. These are all bad. So we cannot use our authority, not on the path of nobleman. We cannot use the Inquisition one because the Inquisition is too weak. Interesting though. Or we cannot use the path of the Lotless as well. So ask Father for help. You persuade the head of the family to use his power as judge to free Stefan and Nathan. You will not try to get your brothers out of trouble. Look, we are still family. Ask Dad. You tell Stefan that the only way to get them out of this mess is with Father's help. No, Bronto, Father must not know about this. If he gets involved, we won't be able to avoid dishonoring the family. You coldly reply that after this incident, disgrace is inevitable. All that remains is to try and minimize the damage. Leaving your brothers, you go upstairs to your father's office. What happened, Bronto? You give father an account of the incident. He becomes more and more grim with every word you utter. Is this why I earned the judge's mantle? To get my own sons out of prison? I would have expected something like this from Nathan, but Stefan? I will not demean myself so they can avoid their punishment. You argued that in this case, the damage to our family's reputation will be far greater. Stefan will be publicly deprived of his sword, and Nathan will be sentenced to hard labor on the streets. I hate to admit it, but you are right, son. I have to swallow my pride and plead their case to the prefect. Stefan is his nephew, after all. That's corruption, isn't it? Father gets an audience with his superior, Alborn. He returns downhearted, but holding the prefect's order. Together you walk down to the dungeon and present the order to the gendarmes. Stefan Brante's sword is to be returned at once. He has not broken the law and must be freed. As for Nathan Brante, you will personally cover the damages the inn has sustained. This is no reason to keep a son of a noble family behind bars. Seeing the prefect's seal, the gendarme nods obediently and returns Stefan's sword. Father, I knew you'd come to the rescue. I haven't really done anything shameful. We will discuss this at home. Stefan sheathes his sword reverently as Nathan is let out of the cell. The elder brother takes the younger by the scruff of his neck and pulls him to the door. Nathan staggers and shuffles along limply. The prefecture is highly displeased with the indiscreet nepotism. Oh, right, I forgot this word, nepotism. Nepotism your father took advantage of. Unsavory rumors about the Brante family creep through Anisoto. Back home, father lectures Stefan. Your elder brother objects and blames Nathan for everything. From now on, there will be no more drinking bouts or other nocturnal exploits, Nathan. Who are those rogues you befriended anyway? Stop shaming this family. If you're so worthless, at least let others go about their business in peace. Do you understand, you blockhead? Nathan remains silent, staring despondently somewhere above him. Oh no, we are disgraced. The worst. And the harmony is gone as well. I'm starting to worry about the future of this chapter. Like before I was kind of nervous, now I'm definitely worrying. Little weapons. This event is a consequence of your previous actions. Tolerance of fates. Higher than 5 or equal. With each passing year, more and more priests and laymen are becoming adherents of the new faith. The sermons of Abbot Leonard and his supporters are resonating with people. The new believers proceed toward the peak of the pillar while defying the law of Icetius. They are led only by the love of the twins. As Patriarch Cassius' flock becomes smaller in numbers, his sermons become progressively fiercer. Brothers and sisters, the false prophet Fotis is dead, but his heretical teachings live on and continue to poison our land. Every day more and more of our friends, family members, and neighbors fall under the spell of Abbot Leonard and those who have been deceived by his honeyed words. Hold up. How come... Was that deed or that whatever that Abbot Leonard showed us before at the print shop fake? Or I don't get it, or it's like, oh, I let these guys print their books, it probably won't cause anything, and now he only just realizes it did. I don't get it. I know he's the follower of the old faith, but it's strange. The Inquisition is supposed to be a shield for the true faith and a sword of retribution for the heretics in the apostates, yet it remains idle. So we must rely on ourselves. Heed my call, brothers and sisters. Save your loved ones, save those who have lost their way and their true faith. Bring them back, whatever the cost. The leaves of the silver tree rustle soothingly. You try to breathe deeply and evenly, taking control of your emotions. But as soon as you open your eyes, your stomach turns. The temple of the silver tree reeks of death. Red blood flows over the white marble. In its hideous patterns, you recognize traces of bodies that have vanished after a lesser death. Every step produces a nauseating, squelching sound. Armed men barged into the temple during Father Leonard's midday sermon. Their faces were hidden, their clothes adorned with the symbol of the Church of the Twin Gods. They attacked the new believers, then took their own lives. Jean's voice echoes through the empty temple. I think we're done here, Brother Bonto. I have the full list of victims. They all suffered the lesser death. We'll question them thoroughly after they reborn. The attackers yelled that they were willing to condemn themselves to eternal suffering just to purge this sacred place of heresy. They are commoners who dare to go against their lot in order to save people who have succumbed to the heresy of the new faith. Do you think Cassius is right? Is the order to blame for what happened? You have no time to answer. A sharp voice calls out from the entrance of the temple. Is it Ulrich? Oh no. Hello, elderly new believer and fervent supporter of Abbot Leonard's cause. Sylvan Samosta. Maybe you should get out of your cell once in a while, Missy. The old believers slaughter us like cattle in our own temple, but you're willing to acquit them and blame the order for not taking charge of this bloody harvest? An unfamiliar, frail old man is standing by the entrance. Beside him stands Leonard, the abbot of the temple. Jean grows crimson with fury. Ah, dare you say such things, old man? Am I wrong? Did your champions of faith come to our aid? No. You let the fanatics go ahead with their bloodbath. Calm down, Sylvan. I implore you. This is just your anger and bitterness talking. Sister Jean, pray forgive this man for his harsh words. He is full of sorrow and grief. It is understandable. Jean heads for the exit without saying a word. You're about to follow her, but Father Leonard stops you at the threshold. Inquisitor Brante, may I ask you to stay for a moment? Jean leaves. The three of you are alone in the temple, you, Leonard, and the strange old man. Let me introduce my old friend, Sylvan Samosta. Sylvan, this is Inquisitor Brante. Sylvan examines you with distinct distrust. His eyes rest on your Inquisitor's medallion. Why should we trust him, Leonard? He's a bloodthirsty fanatic, like all the other Inquisitors. I don't think we should... Stop, Sylvan. Inquisitor Brante is not our enemy. Can't you trust one person? He does not wish us ill. I can vouch for him. Alright. The twins whisper in my ear that you may be right. You asked the abbot what it was he wanted to discuss with you. Instead of Leonard, the old man speaks to you. He points at the signs of the recent massacre. Have a good look around, Inquisitor. We're being killed in our own temple, but we can't defend ourselves. If something like this happened in a temple of the old faith, the city would be teeming with furious nobles, gendarmes, and legion soldiers. But now, everyone is silent, and the patriarch keeps seeking his fanatics on us. Seeking, I think, means... Actually, I learned this from Kingdom Come, when you tell the dog to, like, attack someone. This patriarch, does Samosta have any proof of his involvement in the attack? Is there any proof that he wasn't involved? The oaf is simply horrified by the prospect of Leonard becoming patriarch. He feels threatened. He wants to intimidate us or destroy us. Leonard puts a comforting hand on the old man's shoulder. Sylvan shakes it off with irritation. Inquisitor Brante, we must get the right to protect our temples against such attacks. In truth, we cannot rely upon the champions of faith. The new faith does not limit people with lots. Those who are willing to take up arms in order to defend our temple have the right to do so. What if they find their path to the twins in this service, in defending their brothers in faith. If the prefect of the province allows the commoners of our parish to organize a militia, we'll be able to protect ourselves. This tragedy will not repeat itself. Alborn is a good man. He's willing to cooperate. But he says he needs the approval of either the Patriarch or the Inquisition. As you can imagine, we have no hope when it comes to cases, but if you, Bronto, speak on behalf of your order, the prefect will issue the decree, and we will fear these bloody massacres no more. So you're saying I can circumvent Ulrich? You turn to the site of the recent battle. The scarlet blood has been scorched black by the heat. Okay, we can support Leonard. The new believers will get the right to defend their temples. Sorry. Protecting temples is the duty of the champions of faith. They will stand guard at the Temple of the Silver Tree by dissuading Leonard. We could refuse. A militia formed by the new believers would only escalate the conflict. Arming the flock is not an answer. Okay, sorry, I'm thinking, I think this would be the best option. Because if we arm... Yeah, like what it says in the refuse section, a militia formed by the new believers would only escalate the conflict. I think that is true. Arming the flock is not an answer, right? Because that would just cause more battles, maybe. But at the same time, I think it could be also a deterring factor. But they could just arm themselves again and more. You know what? I'm going to choose this, and I really hope I won't regret this. No? Alas, this measure will not stop the bloodshed. So you're refusing to help us. Well, that was to be expected. But that does not mean you do not want not help. Leonard is mistaken in thinking that the new believers cannot rely on the aid of the champions of faith. You are all walking a path towards the twins. You are all children of the same church. The armed forces of the Inquisition will guard the temples to prevent further assaults. Don't listen to him, Leonard. We must defend ourselves. The champions of faith are merely the lapdogs of the Inquisition. They are just waiting for an excuse to dispose of us. This is also concerning. Yeah, because what if the Order, the champions, just turn on them, right? You made a vow to help the new faith take root in Magra. Leonard must trust you. Sylvan tries to add something, but the abbot cuts him off with a gesture. If Inquisitor Bronto believes that this is the best way, we shall trust him, Sylvan. The old man sighs, disappointed. The twins whisper in my ear that you have chosen poorly. You always lack decisiveness, my friend, but I can see you have no intention of listening to me. Oh no. I hope Leonard's trust in you is well placed, but if Cassius unleashes his fanatics on us again, this time we will not accept death humbly, like lambs to the slaughter. You nod in reply. The old man turns around and leaves, whispering to some unseen interlocutor. Back at the Inquisition ward, you call a general council of the Order to find a way to help the new believers. The new faith is a heresy. The Order will not defend them. You point out that the new faith has not been declared heretical. The new believers worship the twin gods. Hence, Ulrich and the other Inquisitors must protect them just as they protect those who follow the teachings of Icetius. An attack against the Temple of the Silver Tree is sacrilege. The commoners who shed blood there trespassed against their lot, thus condemning themselves to eternal suffering. Jean speaks up from behind you. Bronto is right. We must stop this, not for the sake of the new believers, but for the sake of preserving order, protecting holy places against sacrilege, and above all, saving those who would risk their souls by resorting to crime. A lengthy debate ensues. By nightfall you are drained, but you have managed to win over the majority of your brothers and sisters in faith. The champions of faith now guard all the temples in which the teachings of Fortis are preached. Old faith fanatics make a few more attempts to attack them, but bloodshed is averted. See? Good. The cost may be high, but the new believers can now perform their services without fear of armed reprisals. Okay. Good. Good. Oh, we lost quite a bit of willpower. I mean, not now, but over the course of this chapter. The new Sacrament. For the first time in years, the authority of the new faith is on a par with that of the old. The city is changing. Its people are changing too. Abbot Leonard is beloved by the people. He has supporters in the city, among the peasantry, and even among the nobles of the mantle. They all want to see Leonard become patriarch. You know that you can take some of the credit for this. The faithful no longer fear the twins. They proceed up to the peak of the shining pillar along the path their heart has chosen. Among the ranks of the order are many brothers and sisters who, like you, openly support the teachings of Fortis and defend the new faith. Today, Father Leonard is gathering his flock by the temple for a sermon. Please don't be murdered. Our path to the twins is a search for the will, love, and law they have bestowed upon us. By means of the word the twins have bequeathed to us, we strive to comprehend their design and our place in it. May the lash and the sword remain things of the past, just like the lots. Our sacrament is that of the word. The book will be the symbol of the new faith. Lives of the twins will be the foundation of our sacrament. As soon as Abbot Leonard finishes his sermon, a familiar voice cuts through the din of the crowd. New faith, new sacrament, new patriarch. The parishioners echo Sylvan's cry. Pray right here on the street. Preach to the people, spread our teachings. Give your neighbor the sacrament of the book and set them on the right path. You are free from the lots. May everyone know this freedom. The new believers take over the city in a matter of days. They do not rob, loot, or commit acts of violence. Okay, that is promising. Priests, commoners, and nobles flood the squares and street corners, preaching the new faith and offering prayers to the twins. We just created Mormons, guys. Or Jehovah's Witnesses. No one who walks the streets of Minnesota can fail to hear their word. The lots must be forsaken. Those who wish to share the new faith will obtain the sacrament of the book. Thus do the new believers grant them the freedom to choose their own path, the gods. This turn of events cannot remain unnoticed. Having solicited the support of the overseer, Patriarch Cassius addresses the people of Anisote. The sacrament is the foundation of the law of the twins, which is in turn the foundation of our blessed empire. By rejecting the sword and the lash, the new believers have rejected the elder and the younger. Their new sacrament is a rebellion against the order that the twins bequeathed to us, and thus a rebellion against the empire itself. I hold the overseer's order in my hand. Gaius Tempest commands us to prevent any change to the sacrament and punish those who persist in their sinful delusions. Jean echoes Cassius's words before the brothers and sisters of the order. The new believers are not going to bow to our will without a fight, but our righteous indignation is a manifestation of the will of the younger. Punishing those who trespass against the divine law is our lot and our sacred duty. The prefecture's gendarmes are on our side. But several brothers and sisters suddenly begin to advocate for the new faith. They do not see the sacrament of the book as a heresy. They also point out that matters of faith are beyond the power of the overseer. Gaius Tempest has no right to give orders to the Inquisition. Outraged by their words, Ulrich suddenly defends Jean. The word is their weapon, but ours have always been the sword and the lash. Death is a better admonition than 1,000 sermons. Tomorrow the Inquisition will send those heretics to meet the twins. There they will know the light of truth. Fuck you, Ulrich. What? No. Oh no! We cannot defend the true believers. You persuade your brothers and sisters in faith to defend the new believers. Follow the overseer's orders. The Inquisition will force the new believers to forsake their new sacrament. No. Okay. Maybe by this, but we are branded by dishonor and our reputation. Oh, that's one of these must be true. Okay. Yes, Gaius Tempest to find a peaceful resolution to this conflict. You must prevent bloodshed. Despite the astounding insolence it represents, you will have to address the overseer directly. If there is the slightest chance he might hear you out, you must take it. Only one person can help you. Late that night, you pay a visit to Augustine Alborn. You tell him of the overseer's order and the Empire's plan to crush the rebellion by force. It must be prevented. The overseer must negotiate with the new believers and appease the city. I have already had a conversation with the overseer, Brante. Gaius Tempest follows the teachings of Isetis to the letter, as do all Archnians. But the words of a priest might have an effect on him. The overseer is in the city right now. I will arrange a meeting for you. But be prepared for a chilly reception. Be respectful and choose your words wisely. The next morning you arrive at the overseer's Anisote residence, accompanied by Alborn. In the audience hall you see the imperious Archnian seated on a small throne. You get down on one knee before him. Gaius Tempest greets you with an icy glare. Who is this clergyman, Augustine? My time is valuable and we have much to do. This is Inquisitor Brante. I implore you, your grace, hear what he has to say. Gaius Tempest gestures for you to stand. Speak. Addressing a powerful Archnian and asking for a favor is already an act of insolence, but you are about to point out his shortcomings. You freeze for a moment in hesitation, but you are a priest. Admonition is your duty. You remind the overseer that his lot forbids him from deciding matters of faith. Interpreting the God's words and punishing heresy is the duty of the clergy. But so far neither the Inquisition nor the Church have found the teachings of the new faith to be heretical. The problem with this concept, with this argument that we keep saying that only the clergy can decide the laws, isn't that what the new faith teaches? That everyone can interpret the twins' stuff. So this is like a weird situation where he's doing what the new faith is teaching, but we are saying stuff that the old faith is saying. Weird. For a nobleman, an attempt to give orders to the Inquisition represents a direct violation of his lot that can only lead to the foot of the pillar. Gaius Tempest's face grows dark with fury and indignation, but Archnian regains his composure and addresses you quite courteously. I appreciate your admonition, Inquisitor. But since you have decided to remind me of my duty to my lot, pray help me avoid an error in this matter. What should I do with those who would deny their lot, and thus the estates themselves? What should I do with those who would disrupt the blessed Archnian Empire with their teachings? The Overseer's fear for the future of the Empire is understandable, but the new believers have no desire to rebel against the Empire of the Archnians. Gaius Tempest will see this for himself if he meets one of them. The order issued by the Overseer will result in a massacre and innocent people will be killed. If he does not resign his order, bloodshed, a desolated city, and an outraged population are all Gaius Tempest will achieve. The Archnian gazes at Alborn thoughtfully. Do you think he is right, Augustine? I think that we should rely on a priest in matters of faith, Your Grace. The Overseer ponders this for a while and makes an approving gesture. Prefect Alborn, go to the Inquisition and bring Inquisitor Ulrich to me. I will inform him personally that I have changed my mind. Also summon Abbot Leonard, I want to hear what he has to say. You heave a sigh of relief. Bloodshed has been avoided. Later that day, Father Leonard gathers his flock once more. His sermon makes it clear that his conversation with the overseer was a hard one. Brothers and sisters, it is with grief that I tell you this. We must be humble and leave the streets. The matter of the sacrament is now in the Patriarch's hands. Hence, as long as Cassius remains in power, the sacrament of the book is forbidden. Not everyone accepts this decision. Infuriating by this outcome, Sylvan Samosta leaves Anisote. Oh no. The closing words of his last sermon before his departure are the talk of the town for quite some time. I will no longer associate with cowards like Abbot Leonard. The twins want us to fight for the new faith, not waste time in idle chatter. Neither the abbot's will nor the overseers can stop us. Some parishioners follow the elder when he leaves the city. Life in Anisote returns to normal, but your impertinence does not go unnoticed. Archduke Milanidas and the noble families of Magra are indignant to learn that Gaius Tempest would even consider negotiating with heretics. The result is disgrace. For Augustine Alborn, your family and those nobles who had already taken the sacrament of the book. Oh. The nobles accuse the Inquisition of remaining idle and enabling heresy. Ulrich and Jean have no arguments to the contrary. Shite. And the power of the new faith also dropped. Ah, man. The rep went down once more. I don't think it could have gone any lower though. Okay. Year 1141. The Guns of Illyria. Magra has received alarming news from the neighboring province of Illyria. The lowborn convicts toiling in the Illyrian mines have revolted against their noble masters. For the first time in many long, peaceful years, commoners have taken up arms. Worse yet, the insurgents had guns and gunpowder, and no one knows how they got them. Gunpowder weapons were banned throughout the empire as soon as they were invented. The lords deemed firearms dishonorable and unfit for the nobles. Even legion soldiers are forbidden from using them. But now gunshots were echoing through the mutinous Illyrian mines. The Imperial Legion was deployed to quell the riot. The legionnaires slaughtered the rebels without mercy, and the uprising choked to death on its own blood before it had even begun. The south of Illyria is now a forest of gallows. The convicts' corpses were left swaying in the wind as a warning to any commoner who might dare to take up arms. Although the rebellion quickly succumbed to the Imperial military's onslaught, many legion soldiers and officers were slain by insurgents' firearms. Their steel armor was no match for bullets. Their rioters' weapons were destroyed in a public ceremony, but no one knows who built or smuggled them into the mines. All Imperial overseers soon issued public reminders in the provinces. The punishment for owning a gunpowder weapon is true death by execution. But the Empire is still restless, still anxious. Somehow guns found their way into commoners' hands. If only for a short time. Could gunpowder and lead one day endanger the old ways of the Empire? Well, surely. As we know from history, it will. Authorities of Magra fear that unrest may soon spill over here. Due to the double tax, peasant farms and industrial manufactories are facing harsh times. The province's wealth is steadily declining, but the discontent of the commoners is still held back by the eternal lot that demands they accept their suffering. Wealth of Magra. Matters are being more and more complicated. It's like the whole story, as we are progressing, becoming more and more intertwined, which is expected, of course. But I do think we really have to tread carefully on our choices in the future. I don't think we can keep it up long to try to be too peaceful. I don't think it's an option that we can really afford. So as soon as we can, we should somehow pursue the new faith. we are doing okay, but this last episode, this last 1 hour, I think we kind of messed up many things. However, there's still... How do I see how long a chapter is? Maybe I cannot. But there are still quite some time with this chapter, of course. So there is still enough time for us to build up for the revolt, which is clearly inevitable. Alright, people. Thank you. I think this is my closing of this episode. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you. Bye bye.